What is up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing good, doing well, doing fine, and that you're doing fantastic. Fantastic. So, we're going to jump right into it. Make sure that you hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the share button. Make sure that you are, we want to make sure the channel is going and growing. I want to give my thoughts, and somebody asked me this question about, meet and greets rather than traditional dates. And I think it's an interesting concept, going on a number of meet and greets, tradi- different from traditional dates, I guess, and that is what my assumption is that they are somehow different. I think that this is an interesting concept, not because the concept in itself is interesting, but I think what's interesting is trying to come up with different ways of trying to navigate a broken dating system. And the broken dating system is that, men would traditionally pay for dates in order to show that they had the financial ability to take care of someone, and showing a certain level of chivalry. And that to the ladies, and in this modern day that we're living in, where ladies are making as much, and in many cases, some reports are showing that women are out earning men, that they still want a man who's going to date. So, and pay for the date, pay for all the dates, right? Because they want to be treated like queens, princesses, and they still want to keep some form of the chivalry and the patriarchy alive. So this is a concept, this is a dilemma that you all have to deal with, and you're trying to come up with the best way, because I think that there is a little bit of acknowledgement that there are some ladies who are taking advantage of this, right? Why should a guy take a woman out on a date, and you know that they're going to take some? I'm going to take you out on Wednesday night. If we're going to meet for dinner on Wednesday night, and you're going to date somebody else on Friday night. Well, that's not dating with intention. That's not dating with the hopes of getting to really to know someone. It's none of those things. So I think that this new concept of meet and greet is really um is really an acknowledgement that there's something really wrong here, right? You can't continue to ask for men to pay for things knowing you're going to date somebody else. You can't keep asking for men to pay for things and trying to attach it to the level of financial security and ability to be generous and chivalry and all this other stuff, but you're making as much, if not more, than him, and then he still has all of the if things go wrong, he still has all of the in a marriage, if you happen to get married after that, still has all of the financial responsibilities, right? This is a broken system, or at least at minimum it just needs some adjustments. So that's the key that they're trying to come up with. So in order to not waste everyone's time, there's this idea about meet and greets, and we're just, you pay for your date, I pay for mine, and we go on 3 meet and greets, and then after that we're going on a date. Listen, a date is a date is a date is a date. I mean, you know, uh, you going, you gotta, if you go into your date night, if you're going to, not date night, if you're going to a family game night, or you're going to you have some place to be at a certain time, that is a date. You put it on your calendar, it is a date. I mean, we try to come up with all these different fancy terms, but you're still going on a date. So so I think that maybe it's more palatable, and it sits better in a woman's ears if they just say, okay, it's a meet and greet, and it's not nothing really really official. So you're really just kind of doing self-talk and tricking yourself. To my estimation, you just self-talk, tricking yourself. And what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we talking about here? So I think it's I think that is what makes it an interesting concept. So my opinion is that my opinion is we gotta fix this. And this is an attempt to fix it. This is an attempt to fix it. So let's just say we got to fix this whole situation as I just laid out. So let's just say that you go on these 3 meet and greets, and now you say, okay, now we want to officially date. I don't know what the difference with that would be. Now I got to pay for the dates because I'm a man, and because we've now made it official that we're going to date. To date, what is that? What is the difference, and what does that mean? okay, I got to pay for the dates, but what was going to be different? Are we not talking? Are we not? I mean, I guess I'm confused as to why this would still be a thing. And this is what I'm saying. It's just self-talk. Just sounds kind of masturbatory, quite honestly. Sounds kind of masturbatory. Sounds kind of time wasting ish. It's just confusing and funny and comical. And we've changed so much that we're trying to figure out new ways to solve old problems. And that is how we get to know each other on a more intimate level and decide if we want to move things forward. So if that makes you sleep better at night because you wanted a meet and greet rather than a date, then go for it. I think it's silly. because after the 3 dates, okay, I got a date, I gotta now pay. Are you now gonna pay? This is the dilemma of the ladies making that is, and I'm not trying to be pejorative when I say that, but this is your dilemma because you don't want to pay for dates. You want a man who's going to be on your financial level, but you want to boss chick up. You can't do both. I went to see there's an anti-racist named Tim Wise. He's wrote a couple of books, and he came to the state that I'm in. He came to a university that I teach at. Probably said too much right there, but he came to the university that I teach at, so I went to go see him. Took a picture with him and everything. Right? I put the picture. So he gave a good talk, and his stick is anti-racist work. But he said something during the talk, and he said, the downfall, I think it was during the question and answer period, during the downfall of other people getting in, I should have went that way. The downfall of other people getting in to these circles is that there's less to go around. He acknowledged this. In other words, he's talking about anti-racist work, but he also was talking about women in the workforce. Members of LGBT. So he said, when the dominant class is taking up 95% of the resources, when you open up the resources, jobs, etc., then the dominant class is not going to have 95% of the resources anymore. So you have to share it. So that was an acknowledgement that when women enter the workforce and men don't have as many jobs, but then you should not be complaining when there's no man on your economic level because you have the job. So this is when guys say this, it kind of sounds like sour grapes, but it's an economic fact. It's an economic mathematical fact. If all the men had the jobs and all the men were getting married before, or not all of them, but they made men more viably attractive from a financial perspective. If you give more jobs to ladies, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, I'm just saying that it is what it is. I have a daughter, and I want her to go as far as education, whatever she wants to do with her life. But and I don't want her held back because she's a woman, and I don't want my son to be held back because he's a man. I don't want either one of them or myself to be held back because I'm black, right? So this is a dynamic that we all have to deal with, but in the case of ladies in particular, if you want a financially viable man, it's a zero-sum game, and this is what Richard Reeves struggles to really kind of articulate because he doesn't want to make it. He wants to talk to certain groups of individuals without really kind of laying it out that this is the dilemma that is being dealt with. This is the dilemma. Women have entered the workforce, good for them, making more money, bossing up, entering jobs, making moves. But then if you can't complain that there's nobody on your level because that's what you are. So back to this dilemma of meeting and greeting. What does that look like after the meet and greet? After the three meet and greets, what I would still consider to be dates. So you've dated 3 meet and greets. You've gone on 3 meet and greets. Now you decide, okay, now are you going to be exclusive at this point, Are we really going to try to make this work? Are we really dating with intention? What does that still look like? Are you still talking to other people on the phone? On either part, male and female, are you guys still texting other people? I don't, I guess, that is a dilemma that we still have to work out. And I think that when we take a look at the landscape as to why men are checking out, I did a video about that. Why men are checking out. Um, you still have to solve that issue. You still have to solve the issue as to, uh, you know, how many other people you're going to talk to. The intentionality, where we're going with this, how long are we going to date. Do we, how serious are we? Is ghosting still an issue at this point? Is all the different dynamics that people are dealing with within the dating market. People disappearing and all this kind of stuff. I think that becomes an issue. That becomes an issue. So let me add to this dating after 40. And I thought I was going to do this in another video, but this one's kind of a short one. I like to give people a little bit of something to chew on. So dating after 40, I think, has become problematic. I did a video talking about what's going to bring men back, and I want to kind of tie this in with that a little bit here. And talk about dating after 40 and what the problems are with this. And the problems of dating after 40 is, there's a number of them. All of us, men and women, become more set in our ways. And we've known psychologically that men become more sedentary. Women want to get up and move more. It's not 100%, but it's a thing. Guys are working all the time, and listen, they just want to come home and chill out, and ladies want to travel the world. And it's probably a different. It's probably we've gone through different social interactions, right? Guys are in the workforce doing moving, at that time. This may be a cultural thing. Maybe it will be solved with within the next generation, or fixed, or whatever. But and then women become more sedentary. Women were initially sedentary in the home, and their kids are grown now. They want to go out and travel and all this. I'm not saying it's good or bad. This is just my speculations as to this. But there is a psychological phenomenon that says women want to get up and do more, where guys don't. That is definitely documented in their literature. So, dating after 40, right? You both got to deal with, how you see the world, how how you want to interact, your culture and all this type of stuff, right? So, and do you really want to get to know somebody again? Right? You got to ask all these questions. Who your mama is, and what do you do for a living, and this and that, and this and that, and doing this and doing this and going here, and right, all these different types of questions. It's like, oh man, I don't want to do that. Particularly like if you're after 40, right, and you're dating, presumably you've had some type of relationship that failed, or it's gone away. Maybe a spouse died, or or divorce, right? Those are the two general ones, right? And so you got to deal with getting to know somebody all over again, right? Some of these different quirks, and their sleeping patterns and sleeping habits and noises they make at night, and right. And who wants to go through all that all over again, right? So that's why I think like 71% of ladies who are over 40 don't want to date, and 42% of guys are like, I'm checked out, So this becomes a serious problem. Well, it becomes a problem for people who want a companion. That's why if you're in it, it's just so much simpler just to make it work, man. And so somebody asked me before, and I did a video about the living apart together thing. And I think initially it sounds kind of silly, but I'm really starting to rethink that, because I have a video that I'll put up here. I made another video. I made a video about living apart together. And then after I made that video, I saw this video. So I didn't want to re-edit it and all that. And I already uploaded it to YouTube. So I'm going to include this one. So this video that I'm going to show is I guess he's a bishop, and he's going around asking. He's like, listen, and the lady's like, listen, we just live apart. He's got his own spot, and we just do whatever. And I guess if you're married, and you're really having some type of issues, particularly if there are household issues, maybe you're more neat, or you need this to be a certain way, and your kids are grown and all this kind of stuff, and you know, why go through the paperwork? Just go live apart.
So you're married.
Yes.
And you got the right one.
Okay.
Okay, so how long you been married?
38 years.
Oh, he got to be the right one if you stayed that long.
No, we live in separate homes. That is the right way to live for 38 years.
Wait a minute, wait. How long y'all lived in separate homes?
10.
And it gets y'all, that works for y'all?
Fabulous.
Where y'all live in different states?
No, we live here in Detroit.
In different homes?
Yes.
So how does it work? I'm fascinated. Come.
You go to your home and I go to mine. We don't have to argue. We don't have to yap. It's a good deal.
And you trust him?
Of course.
He trusts you?
Of course.
How often y'all see each other?
All the time.
But y'all don't sleep in the same place unless you want, you know,
Yeah.
you want to do that.
Yeah. But it's a great deal. When
My son is behind that camera. He taking all this in.
When you're married that long, it's wonderful. You don't have to get a divorce. Just get in separate houses.
Y'all heard it. When the right one comes, don't have to live under the same roof.
That's right.
Thank you.
You know, I really gotta rethink that. I mean, after that video, I mean, I gotta rethink that and say, this may be a viable, reasonable option to do. I'm not in that position anymore, but you know, if you're married and you're really sick of your spouse, the way that they keep house and you guys are arguing all the time, maybe just try living apart and just see each other when you see each other, go to dinner, you know, get together, touch each other's genitalia from time to time, and just call it a night. You know, I mean, it may be, particularly in this day and time that we're living in, right? As I talked about, we have the physical security with doors that lock and dogs and your own firearms and stuff, right? We have the physical security. If emotional security, you need somebody else to be there, then there's no way to get around that one, but by actual physical presence. And then if you are, you know, if you know, this person knows your body physically, they know your body, they can, you know, have you arriving, then why divorce them? To get with somebody else who's not going to you know, taking a chance, especially getting it back out here in this market. So considering that, I got to rethink my stance on living apart together, particularly if you're already married. I don't think it would be, I wouldn't, you know, I got to rethink this whole thing. But if I met somebody and they were like, listen, I don't, you know, I want to get married, but we don't ever have to live together. You know, because that also would affect finances. It also would affect finances. From my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, but financially, if you're living apart, then you could say, I don't ever have to pay your bills. So alimony and all that is out the window. That's why they tell people who are married, you know, you keep living together. You know, you keep living together. Don't get into a new apartment, because particularly to the woman, if you move out and you're out the house particularly for a lengthy period of time, 6 months to a year, the guy can say, hey, listen, and I've had lawyers tell me this, I'm not just making this up. If you're, you know, she's financially independent. She's been living on her own for 6 months, 8 months, a year. She don't need my money. She's already doing that. And lawyers will tell you that it's a bad idea from a financial perspective to move out, because that means you'll miss out on stuff. So this might be something worth considering. I gotta rethink my other video. I gotta rethink my other video. So listen, we always gotta evolve, right? We always gotta evolve. So yeah, man, we gotta rethink that. So, and then, you know, listen, it's just me and you, and I'm gonna be married to you, and it's just you're the only genitals I'm even playing with. And you know, we just go from there. So I mean, I gotta rethink that. But me, you know, dating at the 40, man, it's crazy. It's crazy because of the situation that we're dealing with and all that. So it's crazy what we got to deal with. Just and I think here's another thing I want to talk about. I think that the whole ghosting thing and the inconsistent thing, the ghosting and inconsistent thing, and people disappearing is because you're not hungry, and we don't want to put in the effort anymore. What I mean by that is, when you were young, particularly as a guy, you were chasing, I don't think this generation deals with that anymore because they're so sedentary with their video games, so sedated with their video games and with their adult movies. I just think that they're not hungry. They're just not hungry like that. And so, they can not talk to you for 2 and 3 days and just want to call you up and just ask you. They're just not hungry like that. Where before, this is the only way you're going to get it. You got to pursue this. You got to pursue this. You got to chase this. You got to chase this. And that dynamic is just not there anymore. It's just not there anymore. And particularly when you get over 40 as a guy, right? It's like, oh man, I'm playing video games. Well, guys have their hobbies, and women have their hobbies too. But people have their hobbies. And so, if you're working on cars, you're playing video games, you're going whitewater rafting with your boys, you go on girls trips, whatever you're doing, right? Sometimes you don't thinking about that, right? And relationships take time, energy, and effort. And if you don't want to put in that time, energy, and effort, if you don't want to do that, then that just causes you guys just to disappear. It's one of the reasons. The other reasons they would disappear is because they're dating other people and all that. So I completely acknowledge that. But I'm trying to think about why a guy would not be as consistent. And I just think that that's one of the reasons. They're just seeing other people. And I think the assumption is the woman who's generally more into attachments, social attachments, is definitely seeing other people. And you think the guys are, if he's not getting it from you, he's getting it from somebody else. I don't know if those philosophies hold out anymore. I don't know if those philosophies hold anymore because of a lot of the research that's saying guys aren't dating. They're not looking to date. So if a guy is really seeing other people and sleeping with other people, then he's still dating, right? But if 60% of guys under the age of 30 and 40% of guys over the age of 40 are not interested in dating, well, that's still 60% who are still doing it. But maybe they're all dealing with the same people. So it's an interesting phenomenon that's going on out here within the dating market. And so, I don't think that there are any hard and fast answers to this situation, but I know that it's frustrating, particularly if you can find somebody who's, that's what I say, if you find somebody who's decent, everything else is good, good, and I don't need to have conversation every day. And this sounds so crazy because I used to think, and I'm basing a lot of my opinions on what's going on with the research. But as I get older, right. I mean, yeah, I think you need to talk every day and share it and all this kind of stuff. But it's not really a need for me. I mean, it's not really a need for me. I probably am thinking like a millennial. Like I can really sedate myself with just chilling out with video games because I don't like to argue. I don't like to I don't like to argue. Let's just go out to eat and let's just have a good time. Let's just have fun. Let's just do that. If you're bringing me stress and drama, and I gotta overly think, I'm like, as a 51-year-old guy, like I'm on a chill out zone. I'm on a chill zone. Like I told you guys, I went to see this guy, Tim Wise, at the school, and this guy the school where I teach at, right? One of the head bosses, he's like, oh, I'd love to see you. Some job openings gonna be coming up. Those job openings are on campus. Listen, man, I quit a job like that, man. I mean, it's flattering that they think of you in those along those lines. It's definitely flattering. It's definitely flattering. But I'm just in a different place, and that place where I am, I don't know. All these parking spots, people got to park right next to you. I don't understand why people do that. The whole big empty parking lot got to park right next to you, and I deliberately park far away. I deliberately do that. It's absolutely madness. Now, so you got to be careful opening up the door. I don't even know what I was talking about. All right, so I'm not going to ramble about this, but it's an interesting dynamic being out here over the age of 40. The meet and greet dating, the ghosting, the inconsistency. Who wants to do it? Who wants to jump back in the dating market? Who wants to go through all this? And maybe if you're in that situation, maybe you ought to just get married and just live apart and just come together when you can. I mean, unless you're just so toxic together. But assuming if you can get away from each other for a little bit and you kind of cool off your toxicity, then maybe that's the answer. So maybe that's the answer. And I don't know. So let me know your thoughts, your opinions about living apart together. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about the meet and greet dating over 40, the inconsistencies, the ghosting. Why do you think that people are inconsistent? Why is it such trash out here? When we're talking about a lot of people who aren't dating, I'm not even looking. Not even looking. Not even looking. I'm not even looking. That's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Not even looking. Not even looking.